Hello, friends. Thanks so much for being here at Non-Toxic Home. Buddy and I are coming at you from our non-toxic home here. Today, we're going to talk to you a little bit about what we do to keep this little fella healthy. Now, optimally, I'd be feeding him raw food. However, he's persnickety and he's old. Now, I've tried feeding him raw meat, feeding him a raw food diet. However, it hasn't worked. He basically will starve himself before he eats much raw meat. He'll eat a little bit, but not much. Definitely not enough for him to survive on. Now, this fella's old. He's about 18 years old. Like I said, his name's Buddy. He hasn't seen the vet for quite some time now, and we try to take care of everything as holistically as possible because, quite frankly, I didn't know any better when I was younger, and he was fed cat chow. We used the toxic flea treatments, and there were some other toxic things that he was around that, quite frankly, were not good for him. However, since he's a Himalayan, he requires a lot more care. And, hi fella, he also doesn't really groom himself anymore. So I'm constantly in a battle with his fur. Now, as far as his hairballs go, he doesn't really groom himself anymore, as I mentioned, so it's not quite a problem as far as hairballs go, but mats, I'm constantly fighting. Now, I have an article about latex-free cat grooming tools or pet grooming tools that I'll link to below. But as far as keeping him as healthy as possible goes, one of the most important things for this little guy is sunlight. He loves sunshine. He loves the fresh air. Now he's declawed. I didn't get him declawed. Please don't do that. It messes up the spinal curvature. It has other harmful, detrimental impacts on cats. This is like making them club-footed, and it's painful. Please don't declaw your cats, friends. There are alternatives. Now there's a book that I should have brought over here, but I didn't. I will link to below. It actually, I don't believe, is currently in production as a new book, but it is phenomenal as far as the holistic approach to treating cats go. And some of it is a little bit, I don't know if I'd say new agey, but it's a little bit on the edge, I would say, as far as that goes. For some people anyways. However, if you have a close relationship with your pet, then they sense things, and that is basically the premise of at least one chapter. If you have a good intent, then they're going to know that you have a good intent. And with cats, yes, that matters, but they still don't like to be taken care of. Now, as I've already mentioned, being outside is very important for him. Sunshine is a major aspect of his health care as far as I'm concerned. And it also impacts his mental health and mental status. Now, our other cat, she is now very much an indoor-outdoor cat. She showed up and was fully an outdoor cat, and we took her in, tried to make her completely an indoor cat, and she basically had a nervous breakdown, and she licked her back raw. And now her back is just about almost healed now that I have permitted her to be an indoor-outdoor cat. You have to address their emotional and mental health besides just their physical health. Now, in most cases, this would not be a good idea. However, we are in the middle of 6 acres, and I'm outside a lot. So she's outside a lot with me. Now, a lot of times when I am outside, this little guy comes out with me too. Now, we don't use any tick control products on them besides diatomaceous earth. Food grade diatomaceous earth, of course. It is messy, it is dusty, and you have to be careful that they don't inhale the dust. And the same for you as well. That's not good for your lungs or for their lungs. Now, as far as his water goes, he drinks filtered water just like we do. However, I add apple cider vinegar or iodine, Lugol's iodine specifically. I also add trace mineral drops, which are latex safe, and I've discussed that in a previous video. and I add a teeny, teeny, tiny touch of baking soda. Now, you don't want to put much baking soda in a cat's water because otherwise it will make their urine alkaline, and they need acidic urine. Otherwise, they'll end up with kidney stones or bladder stones. So that's a problem. You have to be very careful about that. Now, sometimes he goes after my Epsom salts, so I add a little bit of that to his water when he does that, because he will literally just try to stick his head in the bag or the container of Epsom salts and eat it. Whereas if I just give him a little bit in his water, then he's happy. Now, when he has pain, and if you know your pet, you're going to know when they're in pain. If they're acting abnormally, they could be in pain. He's been in pain lately. The satellites are impacting him just as they are impacting me and the chickens. And as a result of the pain, he has been wanting to be held by me almost all the time. Now, I'm home all the time, literally, so I'm able to hold him. I usually throw him up on my shoulder and carry him around. He's not very good at balancing because he's old and because of his, declawing. However, he does a pretty good job of balancing when I throw him over my shoulder. When he has pain, I give him this here. This is tea relief. I crunch it up with my little mortar and pestle, and I put it in a little container with water, and then I use a plastic, latex-free, of course, eyedropper, and put that in with his, well, I try to put it in with his food, but he usually won't eat it, so I usually give it to him directly by mouth. Now for him, it usually tends to knock him out. I just give him a dropper full, and within about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, he is asleep. But I know it helps his pain. And I take tea relief as well. When I broke my ribs a few years ago, it really got me through. It doesn't work for everything. It doesn't work if I have a migraine, but it works for some other things like that. Also, I give him garlic condiment, and I know someone's going to say, garlic is toxic to cats. Well, are we sure about that? There's a lot that we believe that isn't actually the truth. Now, this little guy, for quite some time, fought me to eat garlic that we had put on our foods. And for, gosh, it probably would have been about 2 years or so, I would not let him have any of our leftovers or even just lick our plates that had garlic on it because I thought garlic was so toxic to cats. Now, of course, this entire video is not veterinary advice. Always consult your veterinarian, preferably a holistic veterinarian. If you have a really wonderful veterinarian, they'll be open-minded. Ours is wonderful. He's leaving now. Like I said, the book that I mentioned is really wonderful and helpful, and I hope you'll check it out. I can't remember the name of it. I apologize. But it also offers information on food and, goodness, different advice for healthcare. It helps you with grooming. It offers information from a holistic, natural perspective for cat care on just about everything you can think of. I mean, not everything, but most things. And for him, I also make the saline isolation. He has sort of a fungal, what I believe is a fungal issue as far as his eyes are concerned. And his left eye is mostly blind now. He's also partially deaf. So he's got a bit of a rough time, but boy, he is a happy boy. And I hope that this information that I offered for you and the links, and please buy this book. Please buy this book that I'm talking about. I have found so much value in it. I apologize, I didn't bring it over here and I can't remember the name of it, but I will link to it below with the name of it. And it was, I think, maybe $12, and it has paid off so much in caring for him and ensuring that I'm giving him what he needs without spending, hundreds, thousands of dollars on toxic pharmaceuticals. Thanks so much for being here in Non-Toxic Home. I hope this helps you and your treasured furry feline.